Hi, welcome back to my 5-part series on conducting effective witness interviews that can maximize your client's results and your firm's revenue while helping to keep costs down so your client can keep more of the settlement amount you earned for her. In today's video, we'll discuss potential objections that witnesses can raise to being interviewed, how to approach those different objections with the witness to get the interview to be able to move forward, and what to do to keep the door open with the witness to being interviewed down the road should you encounter an objection that's just too difficult to move through and that prevents the interview from happening at that time. So here's what we're going to talk about. 1, objections are really kind of like sales. 2, the most common objections you'll hear during attempts to interview someone. 3, how to address those most common objections. And finally, what to do when you can't get past an objection. In the first video in this series, we covered the most important mindset hacks that help make witness interviews successful. In the second video, we covered the elements of planning that go into a successful witness interview. In the third video, we covered the importance of building rapport to help ensure that the interview is a success, and to make sure that you leave the door open to follow up with the witness should you need to. And in the final video, we'll discuss how to conduct the interview, the Q&A, so to speak, how to document the interview and obtain a statement or a declaration if it becomes necessary to overcome a summary judgment motion. Hi, I'm Mike Corwin. I teach civil plaintiff law firms how to conduct effective litigation investigations that maximize their case results. I personally spent 30 plus years building cases for civil plaintiff attorneys in Los Angeles, California, and Albuquerque, New Mexico. During that time, I conducted over 12,000 witness interviews. I've taught hundreds of attorneys, paralegals, legal assistants, and law school students how to conduct more effective litigation investigations. And if you're ready to take your firm's witness interviews to the next level, I've got something special for you. It's my free PDF, 6 steps to more effective witness interviews that maximize your case outcomes. Just click on the link in the description below to download it now and get started today. And if you missed the earlier videos in this series, you can also find a link to them in the description below. Now, let's dig in. Anyone who conducts witness interviews is going to encounter a situation where the witness objects to being interviewed. It happens. It's pretty common, as a matter of fact, and basically there are different objections that you're likely to encounter. But what I want you to think about when you encounter an objection is it's not a hurdle. Hurdle sounds like something you've got to get over, you've got to get through, you got to get past in order to keep moving forward. I prefer to think of objections more like sales. Each time a person offers some form of objection, when you help them see through the objection and you help them understand that the objection isn't a reason to not be interviewed, they get closer to agreeing to that interview. So it's really more of a mindset that I want you to think about objections not as hurdles to get past or to get over, but as part of the sales process. And if you think about it, a witness interview really is about sales, right? You are saying who you are identifying them, you're not compelling them under subpoena, you're getting them to voluntarily talk to you. And that's part of a sales process. So think about objections as another portion of that sales and as a tool to use to get that interview. The most common objections: 1, I don't have time. So that's a pretty straightforward objection, and your best way to deal with that when a witness says to you, I just don't have the time right now, you can say, great, is there a better time that we could talk? And if they say, sure, give me a call at 4 o'clock, then I think you run with that and you say, okay, let me make sure I have the right number to call you at, and that's what you go with. Don't say, but I'm here, we might as well do it. If they're saying they don't have time and they say that, and you give them a specific time to come back to, and they say yes, then that time objection is probably pretty legitimate. They're probably not just trying to blow off the process. If they say something like, well, I got a lot of stuff I got to do, and you can say something like, okay, well, this would just take a few minutes, and then you can be on your way, and they still kind of hem and haw, then you're basically looking at someone who's just trying to get out of being interviewed. And at that point, then the very best thing to do is to go, here's just what I want to ask you, and then just go right into it. If the witness is using time as an objection to get out of being interviewed rather than a legitimate objection like they have to take their kid to a soccer practice, then you need to just do the interview right then and there. Once you get them started, it'll go and you'll go right through everything you need to go through. If you do your witness interviews by phone, where that objection can come in is, well, I don't have a lot of time. How much time is it going to take? For witness interviews, the standard answer is 10 to 15 minutes. Will it take longer? Probably. Just depends on the subject matter. But 10 to 15 minutes is a time that tells them it's not 2 minutes, but it's also not saying it's going to take you an hour. So you're giving them kind of a time frame. You know, it's not fully accurate, but you're just kind of giving them a little bit of a time frame. If they say, look, man, I really don't have time for even 5 to 10 minutes, then you've got to pin them down to a follow-up time to it. The number 2 most common objection that you'll face is, I don't know anything. Now, obviously, if you've done your planning, your client has told you this person knows what's going on, or they're listed in a police report, and you've seen their summary from the police report, you know what they have to say. You know that's not true, right? You know that they do know something. And what's really a good way to handle that is for you to say something like, okay, I hear what you're saying on that. Then in that case, this is going to go pretty quickly. I'm just going to run a few things by you. Now notice how I didn't say I'm going to ask you a few questions. I just said I'm going to run a few things by you. Then you just go ahead and do that. Running a few things past a person doesn't feel like you're asking them to pull out all this information. It's more like, well, okay, I guess I can confirm some stuff for you or let you know if that's accurate. That's a good place to get them started. That will usually overcome that type of objection. Just great, this will take just a few minutes, and I just have to run a few quick things by you, and off you go, right? So then you just start asking those questions. If somebody throws a time objection to you, if they have a legitimate time concern, you're not as concerned about building rapport. Just get right to it. If they have the time, you still want to get into that rapport. You don't want to jump right into it. Another objection is that the interview process is too much of a hassle, right? Look, I don't want to be involved. Look, it's not my fault that I was at that location when that crash occurred, but I really don't want to be involved with this, right? I don't want to be involved. Then what you're really saying to them is, look, I hear what you're saying. This is early in the process. Nobody knows at this point where this case will go, but what we're really just trying to do is see what we can find out about what happened. At that point, most people will go, okay, so do you think I'll need to be subpoenaed? Look, I don't know what will happen down the road, but we're nowhere near that phase right now. So this is just an informal conversation. Play up, look, I'd rather just sit with you in the comfort of your own home than to, have to drag you down to an office where you're going to have to find parking, where both sides are going to be there. Everybody's going to be dressed in a suit. A court reporter is going to be taking your deposition, typing everything that you say. Chances are there'll be a witness fee, but it's probably not going to offset how much you're going to miss from work. All of those things to build up the hassle of the formal process. Keep it going with this informal process where it's nice and easy right now to just sit at your kitchen table or sit on your living room sofa and just kind of go through what you remember about it. The 4th objection, that's the biggest challenge of all of them, is fear. If someone fears that their participation can blow up on them, you have to respect that fear. And I'll give you two really classic examples of when you'll experience that. If you do employment law and the person still works for the company that you are suing, they're really not going to want to risk their paycheck. And then the other situation where it's similar to that is a civil rights case. After all, most people don't want to be telling you information that a law enforcement officer did wrong, because most people live in a place where it's good to have police patrolling, right? So they don't want to be on the other side of the law, and law enforcement in civil rights cases can make you feel that way. They can make it be like we're the thin blue line, and anybody that opposes what we've done is on their side, right? So that's an understandable fear that you don't want to try to force someone when they're feeling that fear. The best thing to do is to ask them specifically what they're concerned about. Don't say, what are you afraid of? Just say, what concerns do you have about it? Let them explain those to you. Obviously, you can't promise anyone safety. You're not the witness protection program. So if you cannot get past that objection, and if their fear is legitimate, then what I think you want to do is to say something like, look, would it be okay if I contacted you again and see if you feel a little bit more comfortable down the road? If they say no, don't contact me, then that decision will have to be made if it's worth subpoenaing them, because they're not going to want to be interviewed. If the person says, that would be okay, you can say, okay, would it be okay if I call you in, let's say, another week? And just go with it from there, and then just set kind of a timeline of it. Now, if you try to reach out to them and they don't return your call, then at that point, you'll have to think about subpoenaing them again. But if they take your call in that week, just say, hey, I just wanted to follow up, see if there's anything else I can help with in terms of you feeling comfortable. Now, you're not promising anything. You're saying, is there anything that I can help you with to feel more comfortable to talk about this? Just let them know you want them to feel comfortable, right? Now, if they're like, I'm still not sure, you can say, well, let me go ahead and kind of talk a little bit about what we're looking for. And you may find that you're okay with that, and that your concerns are mollified just by the questions that we ask. And that way, at least they know what you're trying to talk with them about, and you may get them to at least answer a few questions and maybe even take you through a little bit of what they know, and at least get them talking on that. So those are the four main objections, and then your approach is to deal with them and what to do if the witness is going to object to a point where the interview is not going to happen. And if you're ready to take your firm's witness interviews to the next level, I've got something special for you. It's my free PDF, 6 Steps to More Effective Witness Interviews that maximize your case outcomes. Just click on the link in the description below to download it now and get started today. And if you've missed any of the previous videos in this series, you can find a link to them in the description below as well.